my hair is real, very very curly or wavy or whatever you want to call it. Um, maybe he's born with it.
Yeah.
It's Maybelline. Yep. Metal Radio. I don't dance. I headbang.
Thank you for being in metalradio.gr, James. Thank you for
Of
being.
course. Yes, of course. Thanks for having me.
After having seen what you did with Ne Obliviscaris here in Athens, it was an absolute necessity for me to be able to share a few words with you. I have been following you since Black Crown Initiate, but what the chemistry with Ne Obliviscaris is amazing, and the latest news is just mind-blowing on my side.
Yeah,
So let's begin by that.
sure. Yeah.
Tell me how it came to.
Well, do you mean as far as the latest news?
I
With Ne
I don't want.
Obliviscaris?
I don't know. You can pick it up as to
Sure.
how you became their touring singer, and then.
Yeah. Well, so just under 2 years ago, I got a message from them
Mm-hmm.
about 10 days before a tour that they were going to do in Europe, a headliner tour.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and saying that Zen was not going to be able to do the tour due to a health reason. So I had about 10 days to learn their set, and it was a 90-minute long set.
10
And
days. Okay.
yeah, I had previously done a tour with them with Black Crown Initiate in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, 16, not 19. And so I was acquainted with the guys, and on that tour, I'd actually filled in for Zen once because he got sick on the tour, so I was able to do a song or two with them on stage during that tour in 2016. So there was like some familiarity with the guys. And so they had a few options for vocalists in mind, but without having a lot of time, they just happened to message me, and I made it happen. So I learned the set in 10 days, and then flew out with them to Europe, and the rest is history. Like Zen had a variety of different not a variety, but like some like personal issues going on, which he described in his latest statement. In addition to some health things going on with his family. So it gave me the opportunity to fill in for the guys for an extended period of time. And so that allowed me to get to know them. It allowed them to get to know me. It allowed the fans of Ne Obliviscaris to get to know me a bit. And it gave Zen time to figure things out for himself. So all in all, I think it happened in the best way that it could have happened. It gave everything time to figure it out.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, in my ears, I love the band. I love Ne Obliviscaris before you joined them, but I really enjoy the element you bring in, because I kind of feel that they're intellectuals, and you bring in a primitive kind of force with your vocals, and that contradiction sounds really, really good. Do you feel the same way? How do you experience the chemistry with the guys?
Yeah. I think Zen, of course, brought his own flavor to the band. He was the one who started the band, so the whole thing was his idea and cultivated around his aesthetic, his approach to vocals, his art,
Mm-hmm.
and how he wrote. Um, so the music is very sophisticated. It's very elegant. Um, what I do is obviously quite different. It's it's uglier. It's a bit more, like you
I
say,
would say more,
primitive.
I wouldn't say ugly. I would say more raw, at
Yeah,
least in my ears.
yeah, it's different, and but I think it does serve as a nice contrast, and it brings a new element to the band,
Mm-hmm.
um, that is certainly different from Zen,
Mm-hmm.
um, and can hopefully give the guys a different creative avenue to explore because they can write music in juxtaposition to a different voice. Maybe something cool will come out of that.
Are
So, but I
you
but I agree. I like it. I like our dynamic and our interpersonal dynamic as well as the dynamic in sound. So yeah,
are you going to be creative with them? I mean, in terms being a full-time member from now on, are you going to participate in their creative process? Have you talked about these things, or is it too early yet?
that is the plan. Yes. So I haven't written with them before, so we will see how that takes shape, um,
Mhm.
and in what way that presents itself. But yeah, that is the plan.
What feedback have you gotten so far from Ne Obliviscaris fans?
So far, to my surprise, by and large, the most part, people have been very welcoming to me and very open minded to this change. Um, there is certainly an element of the fans are mourning the loss of Zen, you know, um, and
Okay.
some of them are very disappointed with what happened, and that's understandable. I get it. It's a huge change. It is a
Hmm.
huge change, and naturally, that isn't going to be, at least at the outset, uh, very appetizing to the existing fans, naturally.
Hmm.
Um, but I was surprised, as I think the band was surprised at the support that we've seen from this decision. I think it helps that I've been playing shows with the band already, so many of the fans have already seen with them, and that has helped them be a bit more open to the change.
And acceptant. Well, as I told you before, I have been following you since Black Crown Initiate, and there was I thought that you were getting into motion into writing new music. What does the new status in Ne Obliviscaris mean for Black Crown?
Well, you know, um, Black Crown Initiate is at the moment in a state that is something I can't really talk about too much. There will be some news on that soon, but it's stuff that we haven't announced. I don't, um, that the band has not really announced, and I'm not really sure what I'm able to talk about with Black Crown Initiate at the moment. Um, but I will say, just keep your eye out because there's going to be some news about that pretty soon,
Okay.
and
Okay.
then it'll be pretty clear at that point what's going to happen.
Okay. We'll be waiting impatiently, but we'll be waiting.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay. Looking up all the bands that you participate in, I found several ones. So, at the moment, in which are you an active member? Which bands are active and creative that you
Yeah.
participate in?
So lately, besides Ne Obliviscaris, I have been mixing a new album with Diamorte. So Diamorte is a band based here in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a bit different than other projects I've participated in the past. Um, it is a very operatic, um, symphonic, uh, kind of performative band in which I play one of a few characters. So there's a
Oh.
story, and it's written a bit like a play, but
Mm-hmm.
it is metal music at the same time. So I am one of what is currently four singers in the band. Um, and there's a ton of orchestral elements. There's a ton of, I would say that, it's kind of for fans of like Flesh God Apocalypse or Septic Flesh or like Cradle of Filth. Like, there's a lot of like these big symphonic elements, while at the same time being really heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a bit different. I wear a costume. It's very dark. It's very symphonic.
Theatrical.
Yeah, theatrical is a good word. Um, we did a song called "Where the Light Grows Cold," and we hired a orchestra for this song called from Budapest, called the Budapest Scoring Orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's one you can check out right now, as well as the previous album, which is called the Red Opera. So that's one band that I'm in. I'm in a band from Boston called Replicire. Replicire is a that is a bit more of like a technical kind of Dillinger Escape Plan influenced,
Mm-hmm.
very very chaotic, very 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 technical band in which I explore a variety of different vocal things that I've never really done before.
Mm-hmm.
We have an album that we put out last year called The Center That Cannot Hold. Um, and it features Pohawk, which is a guitar player from Malaysia. He was also a Berkeley student in Boston, Berkeley School of Music, um, as well as other members of Pohawk's solo project. And they're just very, very talented guys that are live and breathe music for a living. Um, so there's that project as well. Um, I am also in the Faceless, which, um, there hasn't been a ton of forward movement on that project at the moment, but I expect that there will be some more information about that one soon.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Quite a busy man.
ugh, you telling me? Oh man,
And
lots
as
going on.
and aside from all these, you're also a voiceover actor, and you've loaned your voice to video games such as Dead by Daylight and Knights of the Nine. I found a page for you on IMDb.
Yeah.
Tell us a few things about that.
Well, yeah, I was like one of those kids. My voice was like this at a very young age, and I kept hearing, when I was young, like, "Oh, you should do voiceover. Oh, you should do voiceover," which I think a lot of people hear that, but I took it to heart, and I went to school for it in Philadelphia
Mm-hmm.
at Mike Lemon Casting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was a very long time ago. That was a very long time ago indeed. I was fresh out of college in, I think it was 2008, 2009. So I slowly started to build my voiceover career from there. I was working full time, had a full time day job. I was doing the band thing as well, playing in local bands, and just kind of pursuing that I could. Um, so yeah, I was in an expansion for Elder Scrolls Oblivion called Knights of the Nine Revelation, and so that was my first project that I participated in. Later on, I was um, messaged by Mick Gordon to be a part of the Doom Eternal soundtrack. Um, and then yes, you're right. I was in Dead by Daylight, and then most recently, I've been working on a project also with Mick Gordon, with a new AAA studio called Empty Vessel. And this video game is called Defect, and it's not out yet, but there is some information about that on the internet. You can see the trailer for that on my Instagram and on YouTube and all that good stuff. And that is the first game where I'm narrating the trailer and I'm kind of doing the bulk of the voiceover work for a
Well,
video game as opposed to just
you
doing a side project.
definitely have the depth to do the voiceover. I mean, it's the kind of voice that you can hear in your mind when you're watching a trailer. Um,
Well, thank
yeah.
you.
Are you a gamer yourself?
I do enjoy playing. I just kicked my camera. I do enjoy playing video games. I'm a busy guy, so I don't always get the chance to do that. But when I am home, my girlfriend and I love to play through a variety of different video games, and we have a list of different games that we're working through. But
Oh,
so I
so
try,
cute.
but yeah, so like I do. It's I tell myself it's like market research. I'm just like learning my industry or whatever, right? But it's a good way for me to relax when I can make the time for it. But I do have a way of filling my schedule. So I don't. If I'm on tour, I don't usually play video games that much. Um, and then when I'm at home, usually I am pursuing other projects, so I don't always have a ton of time. But I try to make time for it because it is good research for being a voice actor, but it also just helps relax. Depending on the game. If it's
I
Skyrim,
see.
it helps me relax. If
I
it's
see.
Dark Souls, maybe not. But
Which project is closer to your heart? What
uh,
do you think that
music wise,
not only, I mean, what fills you the most? What makes you feel the most complete? What makes you tick the most, if I can say that?
I think different projects that have been a part of music
Mm-hmm.
speaking have meant different things to me at different times, and they have all played a very important role in my development. Um, Black Crown Initiate was a huge one because that was the first band that I quit my day job to tour the world to do. Um, and the guys that I was working with in the band, Andy Thomas, who's now in Rivers of Nihil, um, and Nick Shaw, the music that they made and the lyrics that they wrote to me were just so deadly serious. And to me, it felt like there was a real mission behind that project. Like it just felt like something that I couldn't help but take very seriously. And so it was, for a long time, that band was my life's work. Like it was the culmination of a lot of things that I had tried to do and build um, in local bands.
Mm-hmm.
Since I was a kid, and I started doing vocals in like 1996 and starting to build that for myself. So it was a big moment, and that band happened very quickly. Um, so that was very important. Um, there was another band before that called Nightfire
Mm-hmm.
that I was in for 6 years. That has not officially disbanded, actually. But
Okay.
that band, it was a local band where I lived in the state of Delaware, and that band was really that was the first band I ever did a tour with. We did a tour in 2009 in Europe with Jungle Rot, and that was my first experience going on tour.
Mm-hmm.
Um, was with Nightfire, and so that band was just such a source. That was the first band that I really had the opportunity to really grow. We played a ton of shows, and that over that course of 6 years um, is where I got my ability, just through a lot of practice. And I made a lot of like really important memories with the guys in that band. So that band was really important to me. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
And,
so
um,
they all have a story. Like every one of them has like a piece of my heart for
okay,
different
then
reasons.
the next question is kind of a strange one as well. I was
Sure.
wondering, what's your favorite song to sing, and what is a song that you wish it was yours and you would sing it? Two
Hmm.
songs, your favorite to sing, and one that's not yours and you wish you would have sang it.
Hmm. That's a good question. I think one of my favorites to sing is, I think, um, some of Ne Obliviscaris' stuff, man, is just the thing is with Ne Obliviscaris is because of how the music is structured, because
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of instrumental parts, and Tim also sings. There's a lot of opportunity for me to, when I come in, it's I can really put forth a lot of power and effort and really make a statement, and there's a lot of time for me to rest in between. So I can put a bit more power to that music. And for me, a song like Ecus by Ne Obliviscaris is a really good example of a song by them that I think is just very perfectly written. I love the lyrics in that song, and I just love the dynamic of the harsh vocals and the clean stuff. And um, so that's kind of like, it's not my song, but I am in the band now. So I didn't
Doesn't
perform that song in
count.
the record. So yeah, so maybe I don't know which question that answers, but
You
it's fun
kind
to
of
sing.
combined them. You
Yeah.
combined yourself out of the question.
I made it shorter for you. Um, I also like, I really love the band Camelot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have a couple of albums that when I'm doing my vocal warm ups that I sing along to as a way to warm up. And the album The Black Halo
Yes.
is an album by that band that fits my clean voice really well. So it's like a good album for me to warm up to. So really any song off of that record, I think it's a perfect album. I wish I could have performed on that record. Would have been a lot of fun. But
We wish we could hear you perform in that album. It would be really, really interesting to listen to. Okay. So you've got a pretty packed schedule with Ne Obliviscaris. You're on tour again. You're going on tour again. Can you tell us a
yes.
few things about your upcoming plans?
Yes. Yeah. We're playing we've announced a few festivals this summer. Um
I'll see you in Brutal Assault in Czech
yes you
Republic.
will. I
Yeah.
will see you there. Yeah, that'll be a blast. We do have an upcoming North American tour with Dying Fetus, Cradle of Filth, Flesh God Apocalypse, Undeath. There's a bunch of bands on that bill. Um, so that's the next one. So that starts mid-April and goes into May. Um, and aside from that, we have some other stuff planned for this year that we haven't announced yet. So the announcements will come out for that pretty soon. Um, there's one later in the fall that I can't talk about yet, but uh, there's one coming up in June as well that's also not announced. So I guess I can't talk about that either.
Okay.
But Yes, so we have summer. It's going to be a stacked year. So there's a lot going on. Um, Lots that are in the works. So make sure you keep an eye on the social media stuff because we'll have some updates for you there.
Well, you're getting pretty well acquainted with the Ne Obliviscaris' fans. I see your plan there. I see what you're trying to do. Do you have any plans in terms of a new album, in terms of recording or writing new music?
Yes, so we don't have specific plans in place as far as like something scheduled, but there are tentative plans to write um, while we are on the road this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I imagine um, we'll start to, as the year goes on, we'll start to kind of make more solid our writing plans to actually put something together rather quickly. So I would say by this time next year, there will be a lot more information about it by that time. So I think it depends on what kind of progress that we can make while we're on tour.
You know,
I,
when I'm not looking at the camera, I think Hades is talking to me. Think about
yeah,
that. It would be a good
yes.
character for you.
You're not the first person to tell me, in all
Okay.
fairness.
Okay, I wasn't going for originality, but anyways. Okay. Um One thing I was wondering is, did Zen gave you any advice as on his departure? Any advice on your singing, on how to handle the band, on I don't know, whatever. What was his message to you?
he he didn't give me any advice. I think mostly what Zen has said to me is just he's been very gracious towards me and very thankful for allowing him the time to take some time to himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the time came to make the decision, he thanked me again. And he says that he told me that the work that I've done seems to speak for itself. So he didn't really have any advice. But
Yes, but I
now,
think that was really
now
sweet
that
of
you
him.
say that, well, now that you say that, I wonder if I should ask him for some, just in case. What am I getting into here, man?
I think if he had any, he would have shared,
That's true.
right? Let's
But
hope so.
he can be very private. He's a
Okay.
private guy.
Yeah.
But maybe if I ask him, he'll come up with something.
On some insight. Sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I for once am really it's a very nice turnout for what we have ahead of us for Ne Obliviscaris. I love the contradiction of your force with this intellectual world Ne Obliviscaris are. And I can't wait to see you again, guys, on stage. You were mind blowing in Athens. I hope you can make it back because you owe us a song. You owe Intravenous. You didn't sing that. And I can't wait for your new album.
It's going to be a blast. I do think we will come back. Athens was very good to us. So I know that we will be back there. No doubt. And I'll make sure to let the guys know that we need to play Intravenous when we do. And maybe they will even listen to me. Maybe they will. We will see. We will see. I'm still the new guy. Relatively, yeah. So
thank you very much.
Pretty new. Of course.